and then you just create an archetype. And like, I think in a lot of ways that's the Charlie thing to the furthest extreme.
Charlie loved life.
This is someone that wants us to buy this bullshit so bad. This is someone that legitimately wants us to buy this. I'm telling you, this is not real. Like, you want me to buy this? Is not fucking the global fucking Academy Awards. I don't know what you got going on, sis. So I used to solve shit for a living. Let me tell you guys something. When someone's lying to you, the first thing they try to do is convince you, right? And the only way I can convince you is by invoking your emotion into my emotion. So if I'm angry, I want to make you angry, because if I can convince myself I'm angry, I'm psychologically thinking that you're convinced I'm angry. And so when you go, and he saw the face of his Lord.
That whispering part where she kind of half whispers, it just, I've never heard any human being communicate like that. And I've seen a lot of people in these situations.
Why did Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz suddenly start talking about Charlie Kirk's widow? And why did it sound like they knew something nobody else did? It wasn't just another podcast moment. The way they said it, the tone, the silence right after, it felt loaded. Almost like they slipped something they weren't supposed to say.
I think he said a few things that if I was his friend, I would say, don't say it like that. I know what you're trying to say, but don't ever say, when I go into a cockpit, I hope that the pilot, if he's black, is qualified. I know what you're trying to say. You shouldn't hire underqualified pilots. But saying it like that,
just because of the color of their skin.
He's probably not hanging out with black people, not knowing how offensive that's going to be.
Within hours, that short exchange was everywhere. TikTok, Reddit, X. People were replaying it, lip-reading, analyzing their faces like detectives. Schultz dropped a quick line about the situation nobody's really allowed to discuss, and Rogan just nodded, smirking like he'd heard it all before.
For everyone who is watching this, restreaming this, if you think this is genuine, you are very special. You are very unique. This is some of the worst acting. Like, she would give fucking the people that are on those Hallmark shows a run for their money. Give me a break. Give me a break. You could restream me all of them all you want to. If you buy into this, this says more about you than it does about me.
That half smile was enough to set the internet on fire. Viewers started asking, what do they know about Charlie's widow? And more importantly, why now? Because timing matters. And if you've followed Rogan and Schultz long enough, you know nothing on that show is random.
So Charlie Kirk's wife, who the day Charlie Kirk was murdered, I said I felt for, I still do, for her and her kids, she's grifting now. Charlie Kirk is worth tens of millions of dollars. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. And his wife is going on social media and asking people for donations and money. What is she doing? Other than grifting, what else would you call that? If you're going to get donations, why wouldn't you use it for something like, I don't know, helping the homeless, doing something about those that are mentally ill, for example? There's so much you could do with these donations and money that can help society. Instead, she's going to be using it for herself. And I say to myself, your husband was worth tens of millions of dollars. Why are you grifting and asking for money before your husband is even 6 feet underneath the ground? I find this distasteful and I find it disgusting.
Something's off about this one. And the deeper people look, the stranger it gets.
You're saying somebody in Charlie Kirk's circle has a high likelihood of assaulting?
Before we dive into what Rogan and Schultz actually said, you have to understand why this hit such a nerve. Charlie Kirk wasn't just a headline name, he was a lightning rod. Every move he made sparked debate, every word turned into a wave online. But after his sudden death, the spotlight didn't fade, it shifted. Straight to his widow. She didn't disappear quietly. She started speaking, calm, poised, and strangely composed for someone in her position. People called it grace. Others called it calculated. Either way, she became the new mystery everyone wanted to decode. So when Rogan and Schultz mentioned her, it wasn't out of nowhere. It tapped straight into months of whispers. Rumors about what she knew, who she was meeting, and what really happened behind closed doors. Some say she'd been keeping something close, a private note, maybe, or unfinished plans that never saw daylight. And now, suddenly, two of the most outspoken men in media bring her name up like it slipped. Coincidence? Hardly. Because when those two talk, it's usually the setup for something bigger. And what came next would turn a quiet curiosity into a wildfire. It happened fast, mid-conversation, mid-laugh, out of nowhere. Andrew Schultz leaned back in his chair and said, almost under his breath, "You know what's wild? Nobody's really saying what happened with Charlie's widow."
Since I've gotten older.
If this wasn't coached, if this wasn't pre-rehearsed, I don't know what else would. This is hitting all the hallmarks of doing three very important components. One, drawing you into her emotion. I believe she's a honeypot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe she's 100% honeypot. I don't believe that marriage was real whatsoever. I don't know how many of you guys want to see the rest of this. I don't buy a one fucking word that she says. Nothing about this conversation is relevant to show me just how much you give a shit about this person. I'm sorry. You'd be talking about the first time I met him. I remember when I met Charlie. I remember where he was. I remember, like, has no one ever heard a fucking eulogy before?
The room went silent. Rogan stopped mid-sip. You could almost hear the air change. He looked at Schultz the way he does when someone says something that's both too honest and too dangerous. Then, instead of brushing it off, Rogan smirked. "Yeah," he said quietly, "there's a reason for that." And that was it. No names, no explanations, just that eerie pause. The internet didn't need more. Within hours, the clip was clipped, subtitled, slowed down, and posted everywhere. TikTok detectives analyzed Rogan's micro-expressions. Reddit threads claimed Schultz's face gave it away. Viewers said it felt like they were talking in code, like they both knew something, but neither could say it out loud. And the strangest part? The episode title had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk at all. Which made people wonder, if this wasn't part of the plan, why did they bring her up? And why did Rogan look like he just remembered something he wasn't supposed to forget? After the clip went viral, people waited for Rogan to clarify, maybe say it was a joke or that Schultz misspoke. But he didn't. Not a single word. No tweet, no comment, nothing. And that silence was louder than any explanation. Fans said it felt intentional, like Rogan was letting the speculation do the talking. Meanwhile, the spotlight shifted again, to her. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika, who had already been getting quiet praise for her composure, suddenly found herself at the center of a new storm. Every old clip, every public statement she'd made was being replayed, dissected, and reinterpreted. Her interviews, where she spoke calmly about forgiveness and moving forward, were now being viewed through an entirely different lens. Was she covering something? Was she protecting someone? Her stillness, once admired, now seemed almost strategic. And when she posted a simple quote on her social feed, "Some truths protect more than they reveal," it only fueled the fire. The timing was too perfect. Rogan silent. Schultz dodging interviews. Erika posting cryptic lines. It didn't feel random anymore. It felt like the beginning of something carefully unfolding. It started small, just fans sharing theories under Rogan's podcast clip. But by the next morning, it had exploded. Hashtags about Charlie's widow, Rogan, and Schultz were trending worldwide. People slowed the audio, enhanced the background noise, even claimed you could hear someone off-camera whisper, "Don't say it." Others pointed out that right after the podcast dropped, Andrew Schultz liked a cryptic tweet that simply said, "Some stories aren't finished, they're paused." Within minutes, Rogan liked the same post. Coincidence? The internet didn't think so. Then came the domino effect. Screenshots, Reddit timelines, and TikToks layering Rogan's silence over Erika Kirk's social posts. When she shared an old photo of her and Charlie with the caption, "The truth will outlast everything else," fans lost it. Was it just a grieving widow remembering her husband, or a message? Conspiracy channels jumped in, calling it a digital breadcrumb trail. Even verified journalists started asking if Rogan and Schultz were hinting at something they couldn't say publicly. And every hour the silence continued, the theories grew darker. Some said cover-up. Others said exposure. But no one could stop watching. At this point, the internet had split into two camps. One side swore Rogan and Schultz had accidentally cracked open a real story, something bigger than gossip. They claimed Charlie's widow was holding back details that could change how everyone saw his final days. The other side said it was all just media theater, Rogan stirring the pot, Schultz playing along, and Erika caught in the ripple. But no matter which version you believed, one thing was undeniable. The tension felt too perfect to be random. Every pause, every post, every missing explanation kept people hooked like it was an unfolding thriller. Meanwhile, behind the noise, Erika stayed composed. No interviews, no clarifications, just quiet confidence. That silence became her armor, and to some, her weapon. Because in the age of oversharing, saying nothing is the loudest statement you can make. Rogan and Schultz moved on to new episodes, but the clip wouldn't die. People kept replaying it, convinced there was a coded truth hiding between their words. Whether it was coincidence or choreography, the line between reality and rumor had officially blurred, and everyone watching felt they were one clue away from uncovering something huge. Weeks later, the noise still hasn't faded. Clips of Rogan and Schultz keep resurfacing, stitched into new theories, each one claiming to have cracked it. Some say the two were protecting someone close to Charlie. Others think they were warning the public without saying it outright. But maybe that's the real genius here. It's not about what they said, it's about what they didn't. Their silence turned a 15-second podcast moment into a full-blown internet mystery. And at the center of it all, Charlie's widow, poised, unbothered, and now more watched than ever. What makes this story addictive isn't just the drama. It's the idea that truth, influence, and timing can collide in ways no one can fully control. A raised eyebrow from Rogan, a quiet nod from Schultz, a single caption from Erika, and suddenly, millions of people are spinning theories. Maybe there's no secret at all. Or maybe that's exactly what they want us to think. In the age of viral curiosity, silence is no longer absence, it's strategy. And as long as people keep looking for hidden meaning, this story will never really end. So here's the real question. Did Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz just stumble into something bigger than they realized? Or was this all part of a quiet plan to make the world start asking questions again? Either way, it worked. Everyone's watching, everyone's guessing, and no one can walk away. That's the power of mystery. It keeps you scrolling long after the truth stops mattering. Because maybe the truth isn't buried. Maybe it's hiding in plain sight, disguised as a joke on a podcast or a caption on a widow's post. One thing's for sure, this story isn't over. And when the next piece drops, it won't just break the internet, it'll rewrite how we see it. If you want to stay ahead of it, every hidden clue, every whispered theory, every silent reaction, hit subscribe, drop your thoughts below, and stay locked in. Because in a world where silence speaks louder than facts, the next word could change everything.